Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Roger. I'm glad you chose to talk to me about your problem. Give me a moment to get adjusted. Okay. You do realize I'll have to make the therapy session as short as I can or as long as I can, but it depends on what the issues are that we're going to talk about. So let me take a look at what you've submitted already through your notes. Spending time together. Well, Miss Rogers, why don't you go first? What seems to be the problem? He won't spend time with you. Okay. And why do you believe he won't spend time with you? Because of his work. Okay, fair enough. So let me just check my notes here. Yes, Mr. Rogers works too much. He spends too much time with his work. All he thinks about is work, work, work. I see. So you think he has an obsession with his job. Well, that's understandable, and I agree with you a little bit. There's nothing wrong with your husband spending too much time, but I'm pretty sure he has his reasons. Uh, don't worry, Mr. Roger. You'll get your chance. Let your wife here talk everything out. That's all you have to say? Nothing else? It's just infuriating to you how he spends so much time worrying about his job this, job that, and then when he comes home from work, you see here. You also said in your notes about what you wrote down to the last person that he spends too much time worrying about his job. When he comes home from work, he never wants to spend time with you. He just goes straight to the shower. He doesn't want to try none of your cooking, and he doesn't talk to you about his job. Just straight up work, work, work. I'm home. I'm asleep. Good night. Hmm. Well, that sounds like a mouthful, but I understand where you're coming from. But now let's hear Mr. Rogers' point of view. Miss Rogers, we have to hear what your husband has to think about this. Now, Mr. Roger, you look like you're pretty much upset, but I understand. She said a lot, so why don't you tell us why work seems to be consuming your life? Mrs. Rogers, you have to let him speak. Give him time to speak. Mr. Roger, go ahead. Hmm. Okay. Well, that's one way what you just now explained, but based on your notes from the last advisor, you said you're trying to build a future for her and the kids. Okay, can you elaborate on that? So it's been overtime. So the overtime your job has been giving you has prevented you from trying to spend any time with your wife here. Okay, keep going. Oh, okay. Mrs. Rogers, it's all right. You had your time to speak. Now let Mr. Rogers speak. So, based on what you just now said, and correct me anywhere if I'm wrong, based on what you said and on your notes, you've been working a whole lot and spending less time with her thanks to the overtime they've been giving you at the job. And at the same time, oh, I didn't realize you put this in here. Ah, so it looks like Mrs. Rogers, you didn't tell me that either, nor did you mention, well, you mentioned it in your notes, but you didn't explain that to him either. Just as much overtime he works, you do the same, and you both are having trouble trying to spend time together. So, okay, let's take a look at this. Based on your notes and everything you said, Mrs. Rogers, you're having trouble spending time with them, and then when you're available, he can't spend time with you because he's busy with his work. And you, Mr. Roger, you have tried, I'm sure, have tried to spend time with her, but you can't because right when you want to, she's busy with work. Okay. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with both of you working a whole lot of overtime, but are you both working overtime to pay off any bills? Do you have anything that came up? Are you trying to work off and have enough vacation time saved up? Oh, you never asked each other that. Well, I know that because based on the notes and everything you said, You both have been working overtime, 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 ridiculous, but neither one of you have openly admitted to one another that, based on your notes, that you both are working overtime for vacation time. Well, in a way, the reason why I come to that conclusion is because you have mentioned here you worked anywhere between 40 hours to sometimes 50 or 60 hours per week. And you've worked anywhere between sometimes 40 to 60 hours as well per week. And somewhere in the middle of all that, when you both come home from work, let me guess, you're both exhausted and you want to hit the bed, right? I understand. Trust me, I've been there myself, and many other people have been in your shoes and in your situations where they've done the same thing too. They've worked and they've worked and they've worked anywhere between 40 hours or 60 hours or sometimes even 80 hours if they can per week, to where when they come home, they don't want to talk. They just want to lay down. They just want to sleep. They just want to have a drink. And trust me, I understand that. So here's the remedy for your relationship problem right there. Well, not relationship alone, but just your marriage problem right there. I want you both to go ahead and take off this coming weekend. Yes, I understand. Today is Tuesday. And when this weekend comes up, I want you both to take off for this coming weekend. No, just hear me out. You're going to tell your job that you need some time off. Something important has come up. Do you understand me, Mr. Roger? Okay, you unfortunately may not be able to because of a big important deal that's coming up. I get that. Can you do it afterwards? See, Mr. Roger, there's your problem right there that I'm seeing. You said you don't know. You said you don't know how this important deal that you're trying to deal with is going to go, but this is important. I understand this deal that you're trying to close with your company is really important, and it will generate more revenue and more benefit for your company to further expand their operations. But right now, this is your relationship we're talking about. You need to find some weekend where it's going to be just a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday for you and your wife here to take off. And don't worry, it's not just you who's also at fault. Mrs. Roger, that's where you come in at too. After he has done all this tremendous amount of work, you and him will both take off on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to spend time together. Do you remember what it was like when you first met each other? Ah, see, you said he was the romantic type. You said he came to you and... Give me a moment. Ah, here we go. And I'm quoting you right here, Mrs. Roger. When we first met, he was so romantic. When we first met, he wanted to spend so much time with me. I wasn't thinking of a relationship idea at all until he swept me off my feet. Now, those were your words there, Mrs. Roger, so let's see if we can't rekindle that problem between you and Mr. Roger. So here's what you're both going to do. You're both going to take off, You're both going to take off from work for a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, after you take off for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're both going to spend time together. And what are you going to do? You're going to reenact the moment you both met. And how did you both meet? Was it through a party? Was it through a club? Was it through somebody's birthday, anniversary? Oh, okay, so you both met at a bar. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people will disagree with how you met, but it's fine. Reenact how you both met each other. You both were wearing something, I'm pretty sure, alluring and flashy that day, so that's fine. I want you both to reenact how you met at the bar. I want you to play everything back step by step. And if you can't reenact how you met, here's my only other advice for you. You, Mr. Roger, will wine and dine your beautiful wife here with a movie. Now, after the movie's over, you're both going to go out to a nice restaurant. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just take her out to a nice restaurant and get her something to eat. You're both going to sit down and talk out your relationship problem. Are you both willing to compromise? That's perfect, even better. You're both going to sit down and compromise how this relationship is going to work, how both the marriage and the relationship you both have with each other will work. Where one of you cannot do so much or one of you can do so little, you're both going to compromise and make things work out for both of you down the long run. And the reason why for compromising and this conversation you're both going to be having is because I believe in your relationship. I believe you both can have a long lasting, loving relationship. So after this day is over with, after these next 2 weeks go by, when the next following week comes up, remember, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're going to take off. You're going to go out. You're going to spend time together. You're going to sit down at anywhere, a restaurant, a coffee house, a small little even if it's a gas station that serves food there, you're both in general going to sit down and talk this out. And you're going to work on how you're both going to spend more time with each other as much as you have work to do. And you both will hear each other out. There will be no interrupting each other, okay? Okay, that's perfect. And when you both have a problem, remember, always listen and hear everything out and try to be understandable to each other. Do not sit there and belittle or disrespect the other. Actually sit down and talk it out. That's how people solve their relationships. How do I know that works? Simple. I have been married for over 20 some odd years. Whenever me and my wife have a problem, we sit down and talk it out. Yes, we've had our moments of up and down, and yes, they've gone bad. But guess what? We didn't give up on each other because of this one reason that I want you both to remember. And I'm pretty sure you have practiced it every day. We fell in love. Just like you two, you fell in love. You love each other, right? Well, guess what? Make this relationship, make your marriage work. Do not just easily give up. Do not just easily throw in the towel. Stay in your relationship and keep making it work. Okay? All right. Unfortunately, I have another client coming in at around exactly the next couple more minutes, 2:30. So I want you both to take what you have heard from me today and apply it to your relationship. And I'll see you down the road if I need to see you again. Or if you feel like you have any doubts, call me down the road. You have my number, right? Okay, good. Now you both have yourself a wonderful day, and I will see you again. And remember, the name's Dr. Ross Hansburg. I'm your therapy session, and I am your relationship advisor. It was nice meeting you both. Have a fantastic day.